for the rights to Kobe Bryant changed the fate.
NBA 2K24 is like a frustratingly talented superstar who falls short of delivering championships season after season. The excellent on-court gameplay bolsters significant depth with its dedication to looking, sounding, and feeling like a genuine NBA experience, but it's sidelined by heinous microtransactions that plague many of the most popular game modes. These in-game purchases aren't just present and optional, they are essential to compete with other players online. It's especially frustrating because My Career, the focal point of many changes to this year's iteration, has so much potential. But if it truly aimed to emulate the beauty of pro basketball, it would reward skill and effort more than open wallet shortcuts. Despite being a little short on flashy new mechanics to boast about on the back of the box, NBA 2K24 still looks fantastic, and its on-court gameplay is incrementally stronger than ever. Topping the list of additions is the new Pro Play feature, which allows 2K to take NBA footage and translate it into in-game animations in real time. In other words, NBA 2K24 is a lot smoother than its predecessors when it comes to movement on the court, including dribbling, shooting, and pass animations. There are fewer immersion-breaking interactions and things feel generally more authentic.
Improvement, taking a giant step.
When playing against teams with superstar talent in NBA 2K, players like LeBron James look and play like their real-life counterparts.
Now here's James, here's the drive.
The AI has also taken a small step forward, making gameplay more challenging even for series veterans. The ball consistently finds the best players, and those improved animations heighten the playing experience too. On offense, classic strategies like the pick and roll are harder to execute. Off-ball defenders have become smarter, adjusting to opponents' strengths and weaknesses.
Has it in the corner.
The adrenaline boost feature, preventing aimless dribbling, now penalizes players when their movement is disrupted, making defense a much more interactive experience. Not all of the on-court gameplay has taken a significant step forward, however. Fast break gameplay is still almost entirely non-existent, which is an issue that has plagued the NBA 2K series for over a decade now.
Here's Allen. Maxey grabs the miss.
It's also one of the most fun elements of real-life basketball, so its absence just generally makes good defense less exciting because it rarely turns into points. There are also occasional mind-boggling decisions from the AI, such as calling erroneous timeouts late in games. You'd think the commentary would call out things like that, but it's otherwise regularly very good, especially when playing games in the various eras of the NBA, and the ever-present halftime crew of Shaq, Ernie, and Kenny deliver stellar performances. Naturally, it's missing Charles Barkley, who insists he will never be in an NBA 2K game, but the chemistry is still very strong nonetheless.
No surprise, Steph Curry was in fine form during that first half.
Well, he's in the zone shooting it. Every time he puts up the three, he believes it's going in. Trust me, that's a great feeling.
There are some disappointments in the details, however. For instance, players rarely celebrate big moments such as game-winning shots in a convincing way. In fact, they'll go from animated in one shot to deadpan the next, something that only really comes across because of how realistic they look. NBA 2K24 excels at creating tense in-game moments, but rarely delivers a reward for them.
Wide open, he fires. Knocks down the three.
Having the arena, including the fans, players, and coaches, properly react to big plays would go a long way in matching the NBA's famous ability to create historic moments. NBA 2K24's advancements are overshadowed by its most popular game mode, My Career, which heavily encourages in-game purchases. Even with the Black Mamba or 25th Anniversary editions, which come with 100,000 virtual currency right away, elevating your created player to a respectable rating is challenging. Progressing further requires significant time, and you'll often have to neglect the customizable features of My Career, such as dress wear, animations, or other personalized elements. Even with a lot of effort, players who grind out VC will regularly be the lowest rated character on the court for a while. My Career positions you as an emerging starter in the NBA, frequently pitting you against players with vastly superior ratings. As a result, your character is thrust into an environment where he'll be guarding players with a major attribute difference, making playing good defense or offense virtually impossible. Effectively, the only way to play here is to pay, and that's just offensive. It's especially absurd when you consider that most players will likely purchase the regular edition of NBA 2K24, and they will be rewarded with a created player that starts with a paltry 60 overall rating. And because of the systems at play, losing regularly nets you next to no VC. It establishes a maddening cycle of not having a player good enough to compete without hope of ever being able to improve them. NBA 2K24 wants you to open up your wallet and punishes you if you don't. There is even further evidence of this being an intentional cycle too. Badge progression, a mechanic that helps differentiate players from one another within specific contexts, can now deteriorate when they aren't actively being put to use. For example, if you are working on a badge that improves long-range shooting ability but come across a matchup that dictates less three-point shooting and more driving to the basket, you now risk that badge progression by altering your game plan. Not only does this dampen the enjoyment of being creative, it encourages maxing out your stats as quickly as possible so you don't have to deal with bad matchups in the first place.
If you give him any room to breathe, he's a bucket.
It's worth noting that it doesn't have to be this much of a drag either. My Career comes with a location change this year, an open-world, Miami-inspired beachfront to roam around in. It's more dense than the previous city, with just about every turn having a storefront, a court to play on, or something to interact with. There's a variety of court and game types, all of which would be a lot more fun if the matchups weren't so frequently lopsided. Similarly, there are a ton of fun fashion items to purchase, but they are locked behind massive VC paywalls. Especially in the early stages of NBA 2K24, players face a dilemma. Make their character look stylish, or make moderate advancement on the court.
Man, what can I say? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
While NBA 2K24 lacks a robust story mode, it offers several interconnected stories involving the player nicknamed MP. These stories aren't particularly engaging, especially given MP's low initial rating. Comparisons of MP to legends like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant only exacerbate the frustrations associated with the grind-heavy nature of My Career. Following up on NBA 2K23's Jordan Challenge, NBA 2K24 introduces Mamba Moments to celebrate Kobe Bryant's historic career. It's not as impressive as the Jordan Challenges, but it still does a decent job of getting into the tone and atmosphere of some of Kobe's marquee games.
That little bit of rest.
It's so important to have the energy in the fourth quarter, and that starts with time.
Returning to an era where guys like Vlade Divac and Chris Webber were key players in the NBA is a treat, especially for those of us who were first exposed to basketball around that time.
Turkaloo. And the rookie Turkaloo gets it to go.
Similarly, My NBA has also added a LeBron era to play in, which allows you to control the 2011 Big Three Miami Heat. My NBA allows for a ton of customization, like which teams are able to get the #1 pick in the NBA draft, as well as a variety of nuances related to the salary cap. While there aren't major changes to My NBA, it remains the best place to sink time if you're looking for a safe haven from the microtransactions. This includes the new My NBA Lite mode that serves as a nice place to set up shop for a less intense franchise mode with fewer complications. The old adage, a tale of two halves, really encapsulates the NBA 2K24 experience. On one hand, the hardcourt experience is as good as it ever has been, as we should demand from a game that iterates annually, and there are a handful of game modes that allow all of that to be enjoyed without interruption. On the other, much more nefarious hand, my career is nearly unplayable unless you open your wallet or endure an absurd grind. Even worse, mechanics like badge regression reinforce the worst parts of the microtransaction scheme. Beneath those issues, NBA 2K24 still offers a fun basketball experience, but it requires looking in the right places. Clearly, there is a lot of love for the game of basketball on display in modes like My NBA and Mamba Moments. But a lot of that love is lost the moment we're asked to pay an absurd amount of money to compete in the main multiplayer mode. For more, check out our reviews of Madden NFL 24 or WrestleQuest, and for everything else, stick with IGN.